Fear not, citizens. Hope has arrived. The Amateur Otaku is back to talk some more My Hero Academia with our coverage of Chapter 361 Normal Happenings. I am Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet Fan here, and I'm so excited to be back here as Tamaki's personal chef with Doc Isaac to talk My Hero. Isaac, are you excited? New chapter of the manga. It hasn't gone on break. We're back again this week. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready, and boy, is it starting horrifying.
It's this chapter in particular was very interesting. Let's jump right in. Titled "Normal Happenings."
It was short, though.
It was ridiculously short. After the beginnings of the battle with the big three coming in, Tamaki, Haru, and Togata? No, that's not Togata. Is it Togata? No, Lemillion. I forgot Lemillion's real name. But
Oh, if how Mike and Leah would roast you right now if
yes.
if they were here.
That's fine. I would deserve it. But last chapter, we see Bakugo all battered and almost destroyed until Lemillion comes into play and saves him. And of course, Best Jeanist comes to the aid of Bakugo to see that he's still trying to find ways to weaken or ways to identify weak spots on Shigaraki. So he's still trying to find ways to hurt all for Shiggy. But as of right now, we have a very short 11-page chapter. It was ridiculously short. In a way, am I the only one that felt that it was like annoyingly short? like, I mean, I don't want to sound ungrateful, even though I know I'm going to sound that way. But I mean, we waited a week, and we waited a long time to find out what happens here. And like, you give us
And
a
I
super
need
short,
to.
and you
And
give
I
us a
need
very.
to.
I'm sorry. Let me. And they give us a very short chapter to kind of stretch out the fight, and I'm like, ah. Go ahead.
To some extent, I would wondered if this was meant to be part of the last chapter, but it just
Yeah.
no.
I mean,
It's that short, if I might
yes,
argue.
yes. Like the first part of it feels that way, but
It's a it's a feel like a second parter, not like a kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. But I think Horikoshi does not disappoint though. Like,
No, no,
am I
no, 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 no.
am I annoyed that it was very short? Yes. Am I annoyed that this? I feel that he keeps finding ways to keep us away from Deku. Yes, but there's a couple of significant things that occur, and it's not just the fact that Lemillion figures out that he can't not harm at all. Almost, he can't make any dents on Shigaraki. He's not strong enough, and so he's trying, but he's able to get close because he is untouchable, because of his facing quirk. If that's what it's called, I don't know. I call it facing. We call it in phasing in all kinds of comic books. It's facing here, I would assume, but what we do find is that as a follow up to the last conversation that Lemillion has with Shigaraki in the last chapter about him not having friends. Like the idea, I don't know how it was discussed by you guys last time. You guys, it was just you and Mike. I wasn't able to appear, but and maybe you can tell me a little bit if this is something that was talked about. But the idea that Shigaraki is kind of messed up because he never had friends, which in essence, there is truth to the idea that there's a lot of people that resent society or resent other people because of whatever happened to them. Their circumstances isolated them from reality or from
Yeah.
society, and because of that, they resent society. But it's like a mixed feeling kind of thing where they resent him because they were never able to form connections with people. But then the lack of connections are the reason why he's that way. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
it's like a mixed bag. There's a lot of stuff to unpack there. But the
Truth be
fact,
told,
Go ahead.
The thing that we talked about the most, honestly, were probably, well, a certain if a certain someone would die or not.
Oh, so it's a complete. Does Bakugo die today?
I would say that probably 75 of the 75%
That percentage has
of
gone
the.
up dramatically.
No. I would talk about 70% of the entire episode is probably about that. A rough estimate.
Gotcha. I mean, are you still like 100% he dies or?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Let me put it like this: if he doesn't die, then sure,
Well, the interest.
sure. But I, I'm still on the board that yeah, I believe he will die. But
Now
yeah,
you know. Now you know what's interesting though. Like the only people that I've seen that have died, like, and I'm bringing the. I'm bringing. I think it's very important that I bring this video game concept, and I think you're very familiar with this concept. To the My Hero game when it comes to death is that I think the only characters that we can say have suffered a permadeath, right, are like Night Eye, Midnight, maybe Gran Torino. But like these are people that were like severely either we didn't see how bad the wounds were and they literally told us that they died, or like Night Eye where we know that his wound was like, I mean, this is not a guy that has like a regeneration quirk, right? And he was like pierced, like he lost his almost complete stomach and abdomen, like, you know what I mean? Like the idea that All Might survived all those years with the wound that he got from All for One, it's only because of One for All, right? Like if he had any other quirk, All Might would have died. I mean, at least I believe that's the assumption that they put on there, right? So like the only people that have suffered permadeath in the series are people that have suffered a very, very, very particular kind of wound or very fine or a wound with a certain kind of finality. Like the only thing that we see that is severely destroyed in Bakugo's body is his arm. I mean, was he crushed? Is he suffering internal bleeding? Very possibly. But but the only thing we see is that he definitely is going to lose his arm. Like there's no way that that arm makes it to My Hero Academia Shippuden. Like there's no way. Like it ends. It ends here. But I have faith that there's reason to keep Bakugo alive. Um, and I don't want, but especially now with where his story is, right? Like after his fight with Shigaraki, it's like Bakugo has a new arc now. Like his arc has opened a new door into a new chapter into what this character can become. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like Bakugo, did he have character development or throughout the series? Yes. Was it great? Not that great. But like this is apart from the revelation of One for All and he learning what that means and how that drastically changed his character, especially when he was taken by All for One or the League of Villains. But like this is like another big shift that we haven't seen Bakugo go through. So it opens the door for his character to develop differently. So like if he dies now, it would be such a missed opportunity. So I just see so much more potential for a story now because of what happened. Because it's not just the fact that he got his ass severely kicked. It's the fact that to a degree Shigaraki almost broke his spirit. He wasn't able to, but he hit him that hard. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mike is saying that he's going to survive. He's on the team, but yeah, I get you. I was just don't think we should do this as a part 2 episode of is Bakugo going to die or not.
No. But I wanted to say my piece without in regards to that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But but back to the chapter. I mean, the idea that Shigaraki's no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I can add the part I was gonna mention later because it's in the later down the line.
Okay. Later in the chapter, you mean?
Yes.
So the idea that Shigaraki's messed up because he doesn't have friends, I find this so interesting, because not only does he have the flashbacks, but the fact that because I like the idea that unlike All for One, right? Shigaraki has always been broken because of the trauma that he's been through. And he's always put a persona that he's together. Does that make sense? Like he's never like it's not like for example Dabi and it to a degree and it's not like All for One where they are so made their minds are so made up of who they're going to be because of what's happened or because of the world that they want to create that their identity is clear. Does that make sense? Like All for One is clearly a villain and that's who he is, period. There's no redemption for that kind of character. Does that make sense? Like there's no clear redemption for All for One. But the idea that comment was able to trigger that type of sentimentality in Shigaraki kind of sheds the light that he's always been a broken character and a broken being. And how him being broken. And because he's still broken, that's going to be the gateway for them to tackle the connection he has with All for One because he is broken. And that's something that All for One thought that he was able to fix, but he was never able to complete that.
Yeah. Honestly, this chapter makes me kind of more, how should I put it? You haven't heard me talking about his, that I expect him having a sort of like a Darth Vader type death, right?
Yeah, like he throws the Emperor under the bus before he dies, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have suspected for a long time that a long time that All for One is gets his body 100%, but after a while Shiggy gets a hold of it and decides that no, I don't want you anymore, and I'm going to take you down with me, kind of thing.
Oh, like wow! How interesting would it be that he applies the K on himself, and that's how he. That sounds actually super interesting.
Because then he gets his. Because let's face it,
he finally gets to be a hero.
Yeah, and to some extent, and you can argue that Midoriya defeats him because he gets through All for One to Tomaga, and because let's face it, he would be harder to contain this version of All for One if he takes over Shiggy than
100%
the original. Yeah. So
yes,
I'm on par that All for One and Shiggy, for that matter, has to die. You can't have them in a prison; they are too dangerous for that.
Yeah, because and you can't do like. Do you remember this Denzel Washington movie, Fallen? Where
I've heard of, but I don't think I've seen it.
So the premise of this movie is, I'm kind of dating myself because it's like late '90s, I think. The thing about this film is that, like, the plot is that there's this devil spirit, right? Like a spirit that is able to move through bodies and possess different people and commits murders. Right? So they're trying to catch a serial killer and they start seeing patterns of it and they notice that it's different people doing these crazy things, but it's actually this particular devil spirit that continues to go from body to body, from person to person, and commit the atrocities or tries to stop the cop played by Denzel, that he's trying to capture or whatever. He's trying to capture the villain or whatever. So like it would be kind of pointless to have gone through all of this thing with All for Shiggy and then find out that All for One has another body somewhere or that he's able to take someone else's body. You know what I mean? It kind of makes it feel like the All for Shiggy thing would be pointless. Was pointless unless there is such a thing as the final battle is All for Shiggy in that body, and then part of the battle being Shiggy fighting from within. And what I like about it, based on what you're saying, with the whole Darth Vader death and the possibility of putting the game himself and all that, it actually makes sense with everything that they've been setting up since Stars and Stripes, because the whole thing of that arc, or that character coming into play, is the fact that for as much as All for One wants, or for as much as All for Shiggy wants, they cannot. They, similar to Darkseid and the anti-life equation. Like, I don't know if you know the. I'm a little over the place, but do you know? Have you heard of the anti-life equation on the DC universe? In the DC
Yes,
universe?
I have.
Do you know what the point of that anti-life equation does?
And it was a while since I read DC Comics, so refresh my memory.
So, in my understanding, in theory, if Darkseid is able to acquire the anti-life equation and uses that upon the universe, every living being will lose their sense of self and will live and will automatically surrender their will. So it forces everybody to be slaves, or it makes them not have a will of their own. So it makes it easier for Darkseid to rule. Because the reason why the Justice League are the champions of the universe or whatever is because they have the strong will to be heroes and fight Darkseid. If Darkseid has the anti-life equation, they would lose because he's able to just put people under control at the snap of the finger. Does that make sense? So like one of the things that the idea that they're working with in the book, in My Hero, especially starting with Stars and Stripes, is the idea that, which is kind of goes back to the original One for All user. Like, no matter what All for One wants to do, he is not able to control other people's wills. And he kind of will never be powerful enough to do that, because the fact that Stars and Stripes quirk was able to embody her will and go against Shigaraki, the idea that all the quirks that he had, or the copies of those quirks, were able to kind of make him lose control in the battle against Endeavor, and the idea that the whole thing with All for Shiggy, and Shiggy kind of like losing his grip, and All for One losing the grip of Shiggy because of his inner brokenness, is another evidence of, okay, maybe this is the path that they win. But the interesting thing about it is that all these things are happening, and all these like inner battles are happening within All for One and All for Shiggy, but the heroes don't know that this is happening. So kind of like this moment with Lemillion was the first time that they see like a chink in the emotional armor of All for Shiggy. And I find that kind of brilliant. Does it make sense? I know I went into like a rant, but like, does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's kind of what I've been thinking for a longest time.
Yeah, but I like how the setup goes all the way back there. It doesn't feel Deus Ex. Does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a series this big, the last thing you want is someone to come in and say, "I'm here," and then everything's okay. No, I want like, this feels very played out, very thought out, and I don't know, like the whole thing about being heroic is the idea that you have the will to do the right thing, to be heroic, and I love how it plays into that. I don't know, it's super interesting. And I wasn't expecting, like, it was a short chapter. I do miss Midoriya. I'm tired of this battle already because I want it to come to a sense of finality. But I do love talking to you about it and just using you as a soundboard. I'm actually enjoying
Soundboard?
You know what I mean? Like I say things and it bounces back to me and I hear them and I know you're like, it helps me process my emotions and my thoughts. Does that make sense? Talking to you.
Yeah. But I have to also say that what I think kind of also going also to one I think the whole this is also a chapter that sort of focus on the big three student-wise,
Right.
and I don't know. I hate saying this, but the whole flashback thing. I know being a bit might be a bit pessimistic, but um, flashbacks like that makes me wonder if if not all three of them are gonna die now.
I mean, you got to think about it. Also, I mean, it makes sense because, like like it makes sense if they die. It makes sense, and also the fact that um, they
Also,
Haro and Lemillion are doing all this while Tamaki is able to prepare a bowl of fried rice with
also,
all
I
the
had
things.
to, I had to ask, how much did he eat before this war?
Bro, no, but that's the thing though. Remember, he has to eat all these things on the spot for them to work. He doesn't store them. So the thing is, what they are saying, especially as you hear the inner monologue of Haro and hear the inner monologue of the Million, um, they're kind of making it like Sun Eater is in the corner eating McDonald's. That's what's happening. Like they're risking their lives. They're flying around. They're dodging all these attacks from Shigaraki, and he's like eating Taco Bell and like cheese and like all these weird things to create this vast hybrid, which by the way looks disgusting. Yes, this is exactly what's happening. So, and- yo, yo, that is exactly what's happening. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yes. Yes. But yeah, the idea that he's just eating in the corner. You know what I mean? Like, um, and then he does this big thing at the end, which looks like it's a vice hybrid creature, but like, are we to assume that's him like taking a shit and oh my god. It's amazing. But again, is this really gonna harm Shigaraki?
Speaking of taking a shit,
Yo, take that off the air, bro. What are you doing? Oh my god. That is so bad. That is so. Oh my.
hey, it wasn't anything lewd,
I,
Shelly.
I understand, but it was shitty. Um, now, that being said, so the chapter ends with like everybody talking about Tamaki and like he's the strongest of them all because of the vast hybrid. He eats all the fried rice, all the pork, and whatever, everything he eats, and he does this final attack. And of course, they're painting it like a final attack, and we don't know that what it's going to do to Shigaraki, right? But here's the thing. And I think this is where it kind of feels like, and you know me, Isaac, I'm not a person that shits on things. I like to celebrate what I love, what I enjoy. But I do love sword art. But that's a different story. But
Fuck that show.
I love it. So, what I'm trying
And
to say
I
is this.
hate it.
I know. And Twitter loves us hating it and loving it. So the fact that Tamaki Sun Eater is doing this vast hybrid super technique that looks like a huge ogre like monster, it looks like a Magic the Gathering card. It actually looks like that. Like that looks like a sorcery, and that looks horrible and crazy. But the thing, do you imagine a Magic the Gathering inspired MHA game? It would be so amazing. I just
I'm surprised that it's
True.
not made. I mean, there is a card game for Dragon Ball.
And the new One Piece one is coming out too. So
Yeah, but the Dragon Ball one is literally a card game.
no, I know. And the One Piece one is literally a card game as well.
No, it's an open world game where with card
Oh, is
stuff.
it? Oh,
I'm
that's
talking about an actual card game.
no. I know what you mean. I know what you're talking about. Dragon Ball Z has one. There's a couple of digital, like there's a couple of things that have card games like that. But here's the one thing that concerns me. and I know I have to I believe I'm not the only one that's thought about this. And guys, you guys over there that listen to us every week talk about My Hero, please, we want to know your thoughts. Let us know what you think. Do you think we have our heads up our asses? Do you think we're gonna, or do you think we're eating the right stuff like Tamaki? Because I go on rants a lot. But so Tamaki is doing this ultimate move. Like the big three are getting together so they can do the ultimate move. Yes, yes. But here's the thing. Who's the main character of this book? Deku, right?
Yeah, I know.
So Deku's the one that has to take Shigaraki down, right?
Yeah, I know. I know.
So we know that this is not going to work. Like,
Unfortunately.
yeah, so it's, I mean, they can like, I don't know, make it so it does work. I don't know. But it kind of loses, like when you see things from that perspective, it sadly kind of loses oomph. You know what I mean? I mean, if the way we're supposed to see this is the fact that this is going to hold Shigaraki or knock him out until Deku gets there, cool. That would be amazing. Like if it actually does damage where Shigaraki tries to escape or Shigaraki has to like take 5 minutes or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you know how like they can maybe pull like a not a Frieza, but they can pull a thing where like he covers himself in all the hands like a cocoon and like he goes into a sleep mode or whatever.
I mean,
Because-
he has certainly a handful of options.
That was actually pretty brilliant. Well done.
Thank you.
He doesn't have clothes though. He needs a tailor. So he needs a tailor and a haircut. So it's funny how All for One is like all class and All for Shiggy is like he's for the streets. Like, like it's. I like the dichotomy, but yeah, like I want to enjoy this. I enjoy it. It sounds crazy awesome, but like knowing that Deku's not even there, it's like, and can I really get hyped about this? Because I know the result is going to be another failed attempt to stop him. Like personally, do I would love seeing the big three and do I enjoy the chapter? Yes, I enjoy the chapter, but like the moment for Deku to get there was after Lemillion grabbed Bakugo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was the moment. Like being like the big three being there and doing their ultimate moves, quote unquote, to be able to hold off Shigaraki is a disservice to the big three. I think the big three would have a better send off if that's what we're trying to do. If they actually take a villain down, because we know they're not going to take down Shigaraki. So that's kind of like what has me like, I hate. It's like I hate being able to think. Brain, turn off.
Yeah, I just hope they don't buy it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do either.
Yeah. But hey, man. Apart from that, it's a great chapter. I still miss Deku, and it's kind of pissing me off. But I mean, it was still a great My Hero. I mean, I love the characters, so I want to see where it's gonna go.
Hey, at least it have no Mineta, so that's a plus.
I mean, there's balls somewhere. But
That was a ballsy comment of you.
it was. I mean, look at Bakugo's arm. So, oh my god, that was horrible.
The whole recording has been horrible. Mike would have cringed if he were here.
Yes, he would. But I mean, I'm gonna keep reading it every week. I'm not. Part of me, I'm finding hard. It's like with every chapter lately. I don't know if you felt it. I mean, we're gonna keep powering through and reading them, but I felt that my brain is a lot weaker and my brain is kind of now finding reasons why I should be upset. as opposed to just enjoying it, which is what I want. It's like I'm thinking too much now, and I hate it.
Yeah.
But hey, man, still a good chapter. It's not going on hiatus, so hopefully we see the result of the vast hybrid on the next chapter. And okay, my last angry comment of the day. You ready?
Yeah.
Look at Dabi's fight with Shoto. If you want to highlight a character, that's how you fucking do it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't put him against an unbreakable object that's pretty much designed for the main hero to be the only one to take him down. But yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on this chapter?
No.
Hey, man.
So,
Hey,
but,
guys. What was that?
Where can people find you, my friend?
I don't know. I mean, I have a restaurant. It's called Sun Eater's Favorite Things. No, I don't. It would be interesting, though. Do you imagine the Sun Eater? I can feel that whenever he retires from Hero Dump, he's just making food, and everybody just eating his weird contraptions. That sounds crazy. Okay, so, guys, thank you for joining us at our coverage of My Hero Academia. We do it every single week, so stay tuned for next week's episode where we will have another great conversation on chapter 362. We only cover spoilers, so if you are not up to date, you shouldn't be listening unless you enjoy being spoiled. But I hope you guys enjoyed this coverage and review of this chapter. If you're reading it with us, participate. Comment on the YouTube feeds, comment on Twitter. Let us know your thoughts of where My Hero Academia is going. Do you feel like us? Do you think we're overreacting? Do you think Bakugo's going to die? Do you think Sun Eater is going to take a huge... what are your thoughts on everything going on, My Hero? We want to know. We want to share as we share our thoughts with you every single week. You can find us on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe and click the like button. Click on the bell for notifications. Thank you all for helping us reaching 100 subscribers. That is freaking awesome. Isaac and I are super excited as the show continues to grow, and we will see you next week. I'm Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet Fan. You can find me on Twitter at the Scarlet Fan 52, and you can find me on Instagram at the Scarlet Fan 52. My co-founder, co-host, my friend, the man of the puns, the man whose quirk is a pun in of itself. His head is a... No, I'm sorry. Isaac, where can people find you?
Well, you can find my work at Wobum Entertainment, and you can find me over at Dumblemaniac on Twitter, and you can find the pod at the Amateur Otaku Pod, and you can find our podcast feed at every place where you can find a podcast besides Podbean.
You did it. You made it to the end. Guys, have it awesome, guys. Plus Ultra.
Plus Ultra.
Bye.
Bye.